I love the original Mercenaries. Massive explosions, hectic gunfights, a war-torn open world, plenty of collectibles. What was there not to like? Sure, to this day I still haven't been able to complete it, but hey, the future might look bright for that, right? So when I heard that Pandemic was creating a sequel, I was stoked. A sequel to a game I absolutely loved on a next-gen system? Just imagine the chaos you'd be able to cause on a more powerful system. Yeah, I was giddy. And then we got our hands on the game. Oh god, what have they done? They turned one of my favorite action games into a bland romp in jungle where everything other than the graphics seems to have been downgraded. But perhaps I shouldn't get too worked up yet and start from the beginning. From beginning, I mean the commercial. Maybe you've seen it. The "Oh No You Didn't" song that got in everyone's head. I would show it here, but being that the only one I could find was on EA's YouTube channel, I feel I'd get sued if I put a clip in this review. And I really don't want that to happen, so I'll just say look it up yourself if you don't know what I mean. Maybe I'll even link it in the bottom here. But yeah, this commercial gave us all hopes that what was coming would be an amazing return for the three mercs. And I know, commercials nowadays almost never give us any actual gameplay footage, but it's still a method to get us amped up for the release of a game. But all that fighting, the explosions, the fast-paced driving? Nope. None of it here. I guess I should stop lamenting and actually talk about the game, huh? In Mercenaries 2, you still play as one of three mercenaries for hire, who have broke off from the X-Ops company and formed their own outfit. They hired to free up kidnapped General Carmona. This first mission acts as a tutorial, and teaches you all about the game's mechanics, of which they haven't really changed much since the first game. You still control your merc in a third-person view, shooting enemy soldiers, calling in airstrikes, and hijacking vehicles that get near you. You can carry two different weapons at any time, and can replenish your ammo by picking up similar weapons to what you're carrying. The game does you a magazine system though, where when you reload, you dump off all ammo left in your current mag. So, reloading when you've only fired one or two bullets isn't recommended. Once you get through this tutorial, you'll find that things quickly turn, as Solano, the guy who originally hired you, turns on you to prevent paying the contract fee. Your character gets a little pissed, and causes general chaos at Solano's mansion, ultimately turning it into your base of operations while you hunt down the men that betrayed you, and shot you in the ass. The overall story is that there's a coup, Solano becomes the new leader, and Carmona is second in command. They take total control of the petroleum, which causes a general uproar. You now have several factions needing your business. Universal Petroleum wants to keep control of the oil, since they're the major ones exporting it. The People's Liberation Army of Venezuela wants to overthrow Carmona and Solano, and act as a resistance outfit. Eventually, you'll get to work with a bunch of pirates, who are big in the smuggling trade, and in the late game missions, you have to choose to work with either the Allied nations or the Chinese. Although I've never been able to finish the game, apparently the faction you choose here determines portions of the ending that you'll view. Truth be told, the story just isn't very interesting. Don't get me wrong, I didn't think the original Mercenaries had a strong plot either, but there was one thing that really kept you going in that: the deck of 52. You know, every person of a high value that you had to either kill or capture was given a card value, with the hearts and spades having a higher value than diamonds and clubs, and the same with kings and aces over 2s and 3s. Mercenaries 2 offers a different route to that. Although there are still high value targets, they are simply available for cash and faction standing, and don't really offer any other bonuses other than that. Plus, although it will help one faction out, you'll be pissing off another. The PLAV wants UP VIPs, and vice versa, so if you grab or kill a PLAV HVT, you'll impress UP, but really piss off the PLAV. Confused? You might be, but I'm happy I got through that sentence without flubbing it too much. But I digress. In the original game, all of your high-value targets were of the faction that hated you no matter what you did. Here, you're constantly juggling faction morale, and there probably will be a time where each faction will shoot you on sight. And then all that money you made getting those HVTs will have to be spent to bribe the faction that's angry with you, just so you can get more contracts from them, so you can move the game along. How is that supposed to be fun if there's ultimately not really any reward for getting these HVTs? Oh, and in order to bribe a faction, you can't just go to their headquarters and talk to the guard. Nowadays, you have to go back to your own HQ and talk to Fiona, and then tell her to bribe the faction. This does make some sense though. Would you really want to go waltzing into the main area where a bunch of angry soldiers with itchy trigger fingers holding automatic weapons are, just to hand them a couple $1,000s? I don't think I would. And there are still collectibles of sorts. In addition to capturing these high-value targets, there's also buildings that you're directed to destroy. Same rules apply here. Destroy a building, and you might make one person happy, but upset another. You're also given small other jobs that you can perform at any time to get cash, unlocks, and respect from factions. The PLAV would like you to destroy certain billboards, for example. If you demolish enough of them, you'll earn cash rewards and other bonuses, like additional items in their shops. Speaking of shops, that's another major thing that's changed from the original. Instead of having one magical black market that you can access at any time using your PDA, you now have to drive to one of the outposts of a faction and buy things there. And many things are locked until you do those little jobs I was talking about, liberate more outposts, or just move forward with the game enough. One thing that seems to be a constant is that with every outpost you free, you have the opportunity to purchase a max fuel upgrade. More on that in a sec. Because the shops function as brick and mortar stores, everything needs to be bought at these, and not on the field. This means that if you begin a mission and are severely underpowered, if you didn't stock up with the supply requisitions at these shops, you're simply screwed. You cannot purchase items on the fly. And this includes airstrikes too. If you didn't request it, it's not going to show up. I can't say I enjoy the fact that this feature was changed. And how do you access these outposts? You free them. How do you do that? You first accept the job from another faction headquarters or outpost. You drive to said outpost. You call in reinforcements and keep them protected while they enter the building. Once a certain amount of soldiers enters the building, it's freed and you can now use it. It's so simple and repetitive that I can't say I enjoy doing these side missions, but they are necessary, if even for just the fuel upgrades that you can purchase from each newly opened outpost. So let me talk about the fuel and how that works. So, if you remember the first game, you just bought any airstrike or artillery run, or really any ordnance or supplies, from the store, and then you would be free to use it immediately. This store was accessible at any moment of time. It was simple in design and ensured that you always had access to the tool of destruction that you needed at the time. Hence the title, Playground of Destruction. But here, since you need to physically drive to an outpost to buy supplies, it's all frustrating. You both need to purchase the ordnance you want and have enough fuel to deploy it when the need arises. Fuel is primarily obtained by airlifting out giant fuel tanks, but you can also find small jugs of it when destroying vehicles. You can also destroy the fuel tanks for a bit of extra chaos if you need to, but obviously you then can't retrieve them. These items, along with other airliftable objects, will respawn when you reload a game, whether it be manually, by dying, or by loading a mission. Fuel isn't the only thing you can obtain. You can find bundles of cash just laying around. You can also find the more, shall we say, lower tier of airstrikes and ordnance attacks. So if you don't want to purchase the more powerful weapons, you can just drive around to find them in the field. In order to grab these things, though, you need to first find the helicopter pilot Ewan. He's a stereotypical ladies' man and will constantly hit on any female character that happens to enter your base. Once you recruit him, you just need to run up to the item you want for yourself, mark it, and then throw out a smoke grenade to attract Ewan. He'll come and grab it, as long as the zone isn't too hostile. If he starts taking damage, you have to pay for the repairs to his aircraft, which are actually usually minimal. You can also recruit Misha, who is your fighter pilot, who is once again a stereotypical character. This time, a drunk Russian. You need him in order to perform most airstrikes, and when dropping them, he utters awful one-liners that typically denote he has either no freaking clue what he's doing, or the fact that he's just too drunk. Speaking of one-liners, they're bad, and they're constant. Everything has to be linked to some sort of line that your character speaks. It's enough that I want to mute the game at times. It wouldn't be so bad normally, but the voice acting in this game is atrocious. I don't know how it took such a massive hit from the previous game, but it managed to ace that. Let me talk about the controls and path making in the game. Obviously, there's a lot of driving. With such a large map, you need to go from point A to point B. Do yourself a favor. When possible, just pay Ewan to transport you. There's several reasons for this. 1, it's affordable. 2, the GPS of the game blows. The game may give you a path, but many times I found that it's inaccurate. It'll have you go around a major road to take smaller ones, but you can just stay on the main road and shave off a lot of time, which is necessary in some missions where the timer might be a bit on the short side. 3, the minimap of the game doesn't show where the missions are. You have to manually go into the status screen, pull up the map, and move it around to highlight one of the faction's outposts, just to see if there's a mission available there, whether it be a main story mission or even a side job to earn some cash. There's no differences in icons to denote this, which can be frustrating. And for number 4, the driving. It's just erratic, and occasionally buggy in general. Cornering is a trying affair, and driving at fast speeds in a sports car and not hitting something is a true test of skill. And that's also a risk, because if you blow it up, you owe Fiona up 10 grand each time to replace it. But what about the new crotch rockets? Oh god, just don't. They are hilariously bad to control. I can't even put it into words. There is one nice thing that was added though. Jet skis. In addition, because of this, you can freaking swim! Holy crap, a game where you can swim? What has this world come to? But anyway, driving any vehicle can really be a test in your skill. I swear every time I tried to make a tight turn, I smacked a guardrail or some other object that got in my way. Avoiding pedestrians was at times nearly impossible. Flying can be fun though. When a helicopter gets within range, you can use a grappling hook to magically propel yourself to the aircraft, and then perform a series of quick-time events to successfully pilot it. Same occurs with tanks. These aren't so bad at first, but once you do this a few times in quick succession, you realize that it just gets old quick. Just let me steal the damn tank, damn it. At least the graphics look presentable. For a country that's being torn apart due to a fuel conflict, it's still filled with lush foliage, clear water, and a generally peaceful feel to its atmosphere. That's not to say you won't find the dark spots. When you start blowing up buildings, things start looking a lot more depressing. Speaking of, the explosions of this game are so depressingly tame compared to the original game. In the original Mercenaries, when you blew up a building, you felt it. The shockwave, the fire and smoke, the slow crumbling of the walls as the foundation breaks. When using airstrikes, they were a sight to see. Every time you blew something up, it was an experience to behold. Here, it's just a part of the game. It's just like, oh shit, I just blew up a massive 20-story apartment complex. And then you just walk away. All the special details like the smoke and shockwave, gone. Replaced by mediocrity. It's such a shame because I feel like the chaos that you caused in the first game was still the best part of it. Here, there's not much emphasis placed on it. Maybe it's because you can't just buy the airstrikes on a whim and have to first prepare in advance. But that wouldn't be so bad if it was a joy to demolish things. I didn't even have as much fun placing C4 on the ground to blow a Jeep literally sky high. So disappointing. And there's one last thing I need to mention before I wrap this video up. The glitches. I can't help but think that Mercenaries 2 has a rushed feel to it. You have people just falling into the water. You can hit invisible barriers when driving around. There's floating containers with no logical reason why. And you can throw people out of planes, and even though they are most definitely dead, they'll just stand there and wonder what happened with their life. There are more, but those are the only ones I've really found and remembered to write down. And that's it for Mercenaries 2. It's a sequel, sure, but it's definitely not an upgrade in my book. Although the graphics do look improved, everything else just takes a massive hit. Not to mention the game is fairly short. Hell, 3 missions in and I was listed at 17% completion. I think when I quit due to an infuriatingly difficult mission where I kept accidentally killing a VIP, I was about 75% in. That's after maybe 12 story missions. Sure, I did do a lot of side stuff, but that got boring quickly and didn't seem to increase the percentage. And again, due to the lack of fun with making things go boom, I didn't care. I'd pass on this one if I were you, unless you really enjoy open world games, regardless on whether there's a lot to do in them or not. And one last thing. At the end of Mercenaries 1, your mercs got a bounty of $100 million. Why the hell are they still putting their lives at risk? Hell, I'd retire for that amount of money. Did they blow it all on strippers or something? Just something to think about. Final score? 5 out of 10. This is Reaper. Happy fragging.